my name is Nicholas Montez and you're watching my YouTube channel, The Teenage Movie Critic, and welcome back to another YouTube channel. Everybody, I'm so excited to have y'all back here together again. In today's video, we're going to be doing another Disney ranking, and instead we're ranking the live-action Disney remakes that are upcoming, because we have a ton of Disney remakes that are coming up in the near future. And I want to do this because of a certain Disney remake that got announced, plus some other Disney remakes that are coming out in a few weeks with Pan and Wendy, Little Mermaid, and the live-action Moana. So let's go ahead and get started ranking these upcoming Disney remakes. So if you don't know, this is the Prince Anders character. Basically is the character that was intended to marry Jasmine in the live-action remake of Aladdin. And I guess they're doing a project with him, I guess. I don't know too much about it, but if I'm being completely honest, I kind of like the idea that Disney is doing more with their expansive world, where they can tell smaller stories with certain characters and they can tell a story with them. Sounds like an interesting concept. But I don't know if I would want to see a story about that certain character, because he wasn't that important. If I want to see a story with a character of a story, take Cruella or a Tinkerbell movie, for example. That would be awesome. But with this, I don't think I would want to see it. So the original animated film of Robin Hood, I did kind of enjoy. It wasn't the greatest Disney movie ever, but it was fine. When you get to this movie, I guess you could say there's things in it to actually kind of like, and I don't really know. I don't really know if it could work for live action. If you just have a fox with a bow and arrow and a green hat and a green suit in live action, kind of like what they did with the live action Pinocchio, it's not gonna work in live action. It's really not. Just do a Robin Hood story where it's a human, and you'll get that right. But I feel like that this movie should not be remade into live action. Just stay where it is. Now, at first I was actually kind of excited for the Hercules remake, because I heard that the Russo brothers were going to direct it, or they're producing it. And but besides that, I like the original Hercules from the 1997 movie. The fact that this movie is going to be inspired by TikTok, and it's going to have like TikTok dances and stuff, interesting. But at the same time, it's also like, how are you going to do a film like this in live action? The soundtrack's going to be fire, I know that. But I don't know how else you could really do it. We'll see how it goes. Maybe they'll actually do some exciting action. I'm hoping it does, but we'll see what happens. So, like I said with the Prince Anders series, where they're doing smaller stories with certain characters, Tink is the one I would rather want to see. And Tinkerbell is a character, we've have a whole series of animated films about her. Though that's not technically the one from the animated film of Peter Pan. Those are just standoff stories. But telling a story with the Tinkerbell from the live-action Peter Pan film, I would much rather see that. I want to see where she came from. I want to see where the Peter Pan Tinkerbell came from, and what's her story. So I thought that would be a very interesting story to show. So I can't wait for that. I don't know too much about it, because we don't really know how the Tinkerbell character is going to be portrayed in the live-action Peter Pan film. But I am still excited for it, and I cannot wait to watch it. Now, for me, I feel like the Sword in the Stone movie, because, we've gotten many adaptations of this film in the past and stuff. This movie feels like it would be weird if it was live action a little bit. If it was live action. I think it probably would work, obviously I love the scene between Madame Mim and the Merlin. If they could do that in live action and handle it very well, I would love it. But maybe, I'm pretty sure this movie could be better in live action. Probably. It has the potential to be a better story. because in the original film, it's just a bunch of sequences of them turning into animals and learning lessons, and it's not the most interesting story. And then he just pulls the sword out at the end, and it's like there's no story there. It's just sequences happening. So I hope they actually handle the story with this movie better. Now, obviously, if you heard the news, they're finally making a live-action Moana. So, for me, I love the original animated film of Moana from 2016. To be clear, do I think it deserves a remake right now? Probably not. Obviously not. Obviously, from the way they're describing it, it sounds exciting. The soundtrack is going to be pretty fire. To hear it once again, because music in the original film is amazing. Plus the score, the soundtrack, everything about it, it's great. The special effects are probably going to be great. The fact that they're bringing that back, the whole cast with Dwayne Johnson, plus Eddie Carravio, plus bringing back the whole characters of Pua the pig, Hehe the chicken, Grandma Tala, the beautiful ocean, the world of Hawaii. All that sounds great. But it just feels like it's like if you thought Lion King was a shot-for-shot remake, because I've watched that movie many times, and I gotta say, it's not really a shot-for-shot. There's a lot of scenes from the original film, and it's not portrayed as well, but it does do some things differently. This movie sounds like it's just gonna be shot-for-shot, and I am not excited for that. At the same time, I'm still, it's still in the works, so I can't really judge it as of right now. But I will judge it when things have come out and be released. That's all I'll say right now. So that's my thoughts on the Moana remake announcement. So, I love the original Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs film from 1937. And so, of course, I've been waiting for a Snow White remake ever since. And the fact that we're finally getting it next year, I cannot wait. Rachel Zegler, I think, fits the choice for a Snow White, and then Gal Gadot playing Evil Queen has me concerned because I don't think she fits that kind of role. And then, with Rachel Zegler, I think she looks perfect, but I wasn't the biggest fan of her character in Shazam! Fury of the Gods. So I'm interested to see how that's going to be playing. And then even with Gal Gadot, I don't know how she'll handle the role of Evil Queen. But whoever's playing the Seven Dwarfs, I hope they get those people right. Honestly, I cannot wait for this film. Just hope they don't get a lot of stuff right. Feels like the original film, but at the same time also feels like a modern version of it. Now, this is kind of a film where I feel like, who could direct this movie and how could the film turn out to be? Of course, I'm excited to see all the live-action characters turn in, all the iconic characters of Thumper and Flower and Bambi turn to live action. The fact that we're going to see Bambi's mom die again in live action, that's going to be terrifying. And honestly, the thing that kind of scares me is I'm nervous as to how a live action deer, a photoreal deer is going to look like on screen. Because if you look at the image I believe I chose for this film, that I put for the placement here, looks kind of scary. Deer looks scary in real life. I mean, I've never seen one up close, but they look scary in real life, and I'm nervous as to how that's going to be. And maybe since, part of the thing I did not like about the first Bambi film from 1942, is the story was just kind of mid. And much like with the Jungle Book, I feel like the remake of the Jungle Book, they could actually tell a much better story. And I feel like with this film, they could up the story, but still do the stuff you like about the original animated film and do it better. So I actually am excited for this film. Now, if you guys know me, I actually liked the remake of Aladdin from 2019 and what Guy Ritchie did with that film. And I thought that, seems like a different type of world in the Aladdin universe. And so I'm excited for this film. I'm going to be there opening day. The problem here is I don't really know how you can really continue the story. But I'm also nervous as to are you just gonna copy what the original animated film of Aladdin 2 did, or are you gonna do a whole different story? Because if you look at like Lion King 2 has an animated sequel. They're not doing what they're doing in the original animated Lion King 2. They're doing a whole different story that's never been done before. Are they gonna do the same thing with this one, or are they just gonna do live action Aladdin 2 from the animated film? We'll have to wait and see, but overall, my thoughts are over here, but I am still kind of excited for the film. Now, much like Aladdin 2, I am excited because this is actually a sequel to my favorite Disney remake in The Jungle Book from 2016, and part of the reason why it's still a little bit lower like Aladdin is because while I love the original Jungle Book film, it's not, I don't really know how you can really continue the story. Of course, one of my favorite things about the original Jungle Book is, with Jon Favreau's Jungle Book, is he was able to create this photorealistic world that felt big, it felt massive, as you're exploring this giant jungle of India. But at the same time, I think there are some storylines that you could explore, like, what is how do you explore a world with Mowgli in the jungle with Bagheera and Baloo and the wolf pack, but Shere Khan is gone? And also, how do you continue the story with the wolves? And that was like one of my favorite parts about the original Jungle Book, is they included the wolves more into the story. Will King Louis more have more to do with this? Will Kaa have more to do in this? Like, there's a lot of stuff I'm questioning here, and I'm wondering, like, how can you do this story? Will they do some sort of like will they mix in kind of Tarzan where Mowgli's a little bit more grown up? Because I'm pretty sure the guy who played Mowgli in the original one, he's a lot more grown up now, so he's gotta be doing a Tarzan sort of thing now. But there's a lot of ideas in this film that sound exciting, and also how the elephants play into it, as well as they're a lot more realistic now in saving the jungle from fires and stuff. So that's going to be interesting. So I'm interested in this film. I want to see more of it, and this photorealistic world. Jon Favreau's coming back and everything, so I'm interested to see how they're going to do this movie. Much like Jungle Book 2 and Aladdin 2, I like the original Cruella film. I thought it was a massive surprise for me from Disney. And at the same time, I also feel like, how are you going to tell a Cruella sequel? Just how? It doesn't make any sense to me. I think the Cruella movie did a great job of setting up 101 Dalmatians, but at the same time, it's like, no. I don't think you could do it. Because you already got a 101 Dalmatians remake back in the 90s. You can't really do that again. But at the same time, I don't know how you're going to do that film. But we'll see how it goes. I hope it's good. But I'm excited to see Emma Stone again. Who knows if it's going to happen. But we'll see. We'll see. So, fun fact about this film, about a couple weeks ago, there was a fan cast of this film that had like Josh Gad and I think Gal Gadot, and the cast sounded pretty crazy. And if I'm being honest, there was some castings in there that sounded cool to me, but then there was also some like Josh Gad as Quasimodo. Why would you cast him? If I'm being honest, I see Colin Farrell more as Quasimodo than I do with Josh Gad. But besides that, I love the original animated film. I thought that film is great. How do you continue that story into live action? I don't really know. I think the music and score will be great. I think the setting will be cool. And I think that, telling a much more old-timey story and doing a modern version of this could be very great. And I think the performances could be good too. So we actually heard a couple of weeks ago that Questlove is directing this film, which, if you don't know, he directed a movie called Summer of Soul, or something like that. It's a film that came out back in 2021. and that film actually won for best documentary, and at the Oscars. And from that, I think that it could actually be a pretty good film, both in the music sense and in a cultural sense. I think it could be a cool film, but at the same time, I'm feeling like the original Aristocats. That's what I want the thing to do. Do a modern take, do some interesting stuff, but at the same time, do something that is interesting and make it feel like the original film. Now, Peter Pan and Wendy, I think, I'm not the biggest fan of the original animated film from 1953, but the live action one sounds interesting. There's a lot of things in it that sounds interesting. It sounds a lot better when you're not looking at it rather than when you're actually watching the trailers. And I feel like that's a big disappointment when you're watching a movie and it's like the ideas sound better than what it's actually perceived to me. Granted, the movie's coming out in a couple weeks, so no more complaining. But I'm excited to see how bigger of a story this movie's gonna be. The trailers look pretty good. I'm still gonna go see it on Disney Plus. I still can't wait for it. Now, for me, I love the original animated film of The Little Mermaid, and the fact that we're finally getting a remake of it is awesome. The movie looks incredible. Halle Bailey as Ariel looks amazing, and her voice is incredible. Melissa McCarthy looks pretty good as Ursula. The fact that we're getting the guy from Hamilton to voice Sebastian, we're getting a bunch of different casts. I hope that they tell a good story and they do the story a bit better and not just do what you did in the first film. I can't wait for it, so hopefully it's not bad like the other ones. I want this film to win. So we actually got an announcement that the person that's playing Lilo, it's this little Hawaiian girl that she looks pretty sweet, looks pretty nice, and looks like she could fit the character pretty greatly. So I'm excited for that. But even then, imagining a Lilo and Stitch remake in live action, that sounds awesome to me. And I honestly kind of want to see that. So I'm just excited for it. I'm excited. The fact that Chris Sanders is coming back to voice Stitch himself, that sounds awesome to me. And so for me, this film just sets up so much stuff in the future that I just cannot wait to watch and see with big glorious eyes. I think it's coming out on Disney Plus, but I'm not quite sure. Now, I know a bunch of you hated the original Lion King remake from 2019. There's parts of it that I did like, but it mostly feels like a shot-for-shot remake, but I still did like it, though. For me, I love the original original animated film of The Lion King, my favorite Disney animated film, and one of my favorite films of all time. And so when they announced that they're making a sequel to the live-action film, I was like, okay, that's cool. I hope that they don't just do Lion King 2 again, like with live-action Kovu and Zira. That's not going to be interesting. But then we started hearing more ideas that the film was about the origins of Mufasa, before Simba was born. And that basically the story is that Timon, Pumbaa, and Rafiki are telling the story of Mufasa to Simba Nala's cub. And it's also being a story about Mufasa and before he became this very wise king and like what made him so wise and a great king. And then also beyond that, I'm also excited to explore the world of Lion King more, to explore these different characters, to explore a story that we've never really seen on film before. And then also, the director, Barry Jenkins, Jon Favreau's not coming back for this film. Barry Jenkins is coming to direct it, which if you don't know, he directed a film called Moonlight, and that film won Best Picture. And so, when you put that in a film, I heard a lot of great emotions from it, and so I think it could tell a great story, some great emotions in it, and possibly do some new technology that we've never seen in Disney movies before, that could actually show emotions in the characters' facial expressions. So I think that could be very great. So overall, I cannot wait for this movie. I'm hoping that this could be one of the best Lion King films, by far probably better than the first Lion King remake. But overall, I cannot wait for this film. And that's my ranking of all the upcoming live-action remakes. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. All my social media stuff is in the back section over there. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.